Have you ever watched a movie from your childhood and thought it doesn't quite hold up like you remember? Well, then you would enjoy our bi-weekly series, Does It Hold Up?, where we revisit classic genre films with a special guest to help us determine if it is as good or as bad as we remember. It's a whole lot of fun, so you should check it out. But only if you like fun. If you enjoy sorrow and despair, I'm sorry, I can't help you.
Please check out the Drunk Bantha channel. They clearly are ready for being seen at a higher level.
Hello, you beautiful nerds. Something is happening. This has been a strange box office year. You can probably say that about every year since 2019, but this one has really baffled me. There have been a few movies that have come out this year that on paper seem like they'll be the sleeper grassroots hit of the season, or the mega blockbuster that Hollywood stuffed down our throat with endless marketing until we went to go see it and it turned out to be pretty good. But this year has been tough to predict. I was working on a review for this movie for a while, and then Furiosa came out, and yeah, I had to do that real quick. But as I was working on it, I decided I also wanted to use this opportunity to talk about the state of the box office and why no one seems to go to the movies anymore. But enough preamble, let's talk about what we're talking about. So drink some questionable liquid from a stranger, not really, never do that. But get comfortable and let's have a little chat about the So this film follows a workplace romance between director Jodie Coleman and stunt performer Colt Seavers. At the peak of their honeymoon stage, Colt suffers an injury that severely injures his back.
I broke my back.
What do you mean by that?
My back is broken.
Years later, Colt has hit rock bottom, but is given another chance to work on a movie and is directed by none other than up-and-comer Jodie Coleman. As he tries to get close to Jodie again, the producer of the film tells him that the real reason he's here is to find the missing star of the film, Tom Ryder.
Why me?
You're a stuntman. Nobody's gonna notice you. That's your job. No offense.
I mean, some taken.
To reiterate a compliment that I gave the first Aquaman movie, the fall guy is bro cute, with a little more cute than bro. Just a little bit. Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt are two of my favorite actors in Hollywood. I mean, they are so charismatic and empathetic. Like, you just want to root for them in every role they've ever done. Blunt is such an asshole in Devil Wears Prada, but you end up loving her more than the main character. Now, this is not the best performance from either of them. By the way, that would be the nice guys for Baby Goose.
Hey, this little baby's gonna stay right here.
And 5-year engagement for Emily Past the Blunt.
I deserve to get super laid for this.
Do you want me to wear a cape or something?
I want the show.
You get the Cirque du Soleil of shows.
Ooh.
Lots of this and this stuff.
Oh, and just to get this out of the way, both Emily and Baby Goose are my collective MVPs of this movie. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. Actually, I do. And that's why I chose them both. But they have remarkable chemistry together, and that could carry the whole movie if the romance were the only premise. And though they are love interests, they do have a lot of scenes apart, which gives them moments where they get to carry a scene on their own to really stretch their acting muscles while moving the story along in a satisfying way. Because both of our main characters have secondary goals that directly conflict with their primary goals. Colt wants to rekindle his relationship with Jodie, but he also has this murder mystery to solve. Jodie wants to finish her passion project debut film, but she also wants to figure out her feelings for Colt, which makes for some pretty funny moments where all of these different motivations start crashing into each other.
Just wondering, after this movie, if I don't go to prison, and you're not busy, maybe we could go to a beach somewhere.
And that brings me to one of the things I love so much about this movie. This is a rom-com. And as you guys know, I really like well-done rom-coms. They are cute and fun. And since audiences seem to be responding positively to these stunt-driven action flicks, it makes sense that someone like Leach would want to make a movie that is a twist on that genre. And though this does have a ton of action, it never loses sight of the goal. This is first and foremost a romantic comedy. It follows all the familiar beats of your standard rom-com, but it has a little more stank on it because of all the incredible set pieces that surround it. I do have a few problems with it though. Like, this movie is a big waste of Stephanie Hsu. She is one of the best actors I've ever seen, and this role is like a bad early 2000s Seth Green side character. Also, a problem I have with a lot of big action movies lately is that this film doesn't utilize its CGI very well. I've complained before about those home Spider-Man movies and how they put CGI over the very good looking practical costume, making it look fake and not very good. It's the same with this movie. There are some genuinely amazing stunts in this movie that are not very impressive just because it looks fake. But at the end of the movie, they show a bunch of behind the scenes footage of the stunts and you're like, oh, I guess they did that for real. But I can excuse little stuff like this in a big bombastic action comedy. This movie is not taking itself seriously at all, even if it might be based on true events. Maybe. But let me explain that. So I read a report about The Rock days after I saw this movie, and I thought it might have some connections to The Fall Guy. According to a recent report, The Rock is notorious for being kind of a jerk on set and showing up almost 8 hours late.
It was a fucking disaster, one insider said. On days when Johnson didn't show up at all, the production crew was forced to shoot around him, the insider added. That is something that they often do. You know, they'll get the stunt person and film the back of their head while someone else delivers lines to them. Happens all of the time.
Fall Guy director David Leitch directed Hobbs and Shaw, that was a Fast and Furious spinoff starring The Rock. And Fast X no longer featured The Rock due to some on-set squabbles, but instead featured Jason Momoa. And the entire plot of The Fall Guy is about the main character of a movie going missing, forcing the crew to shoot all the scenes with the stuntman until he is ultimately replaced by none other than Jason Momoa. Considering how meta this flick is, I can't help but think that this is a direct reference to The Rock's on-set behavior, which just kind of makes this movie so much better. I like David Leitch. Dude used to be Brad Pitt's stunt double and then made a really awesome movie with Keanu Reeves' stunt double that changed action films for a decade. And no matter how good his movies have been since him and Chad parted ways, he's never had a big hit. Even Deadpool 2 financially performed the same as Deadpool 1, but it just had a bigger budget, so, you know, not a big hit. And I thought that this was gonna be the one. You got two of the most charismatic white people in Hollywood doing everything that they're great at in a flick that had a bigger marketing budget than fucking Minions 2. I don't know if that's true, but it's, you know, there's a lot of marketing for this movie. I saw The Fall Guy opening night and I was so excited about how people were gonna react to it. I don't think this is Leitch's best solo effort, which in my opinion is Atomic Blonde.
Well, let me help you with your bags.
But The Fall Guy was a solid effort that seemed to check all the crossover hit boxes and was destined for an impressive box office run. Even if it isn't good, half the people in this country will go see it just out of sheer curiosity, right? Right? Right?
The summer box office season got off to a lackluster start with the underperformance of The Fall Guy. Despite positive reviews and strong elements of audience, just only managed to pull in 28 points.
So The Fall Guy did not perform well in theaters. And honestly, this kind of, I mean, for someone with no financial or personal stake in the movie, this affected me. I had so much to say about this movie when it first came out, but when no one saw it, I was like, well, never mind. But one of our day one subscribers convinced me that this would probably be an interesting video to make. I didn't take a whole lot of convincing. I wanted to do this anyway. Thank you, Rachel. But why didn't any of the stuff that I just mentioned matter? Why do films seem to keep performing so poorly at the box office? Yeah, movie tickets are expensive, but I think there's a little more going on with the collective psychology of moviegoers. For one, the lockdown for the pandemic affected us as a society in a profound way. According to studies, people just don't go out as much as they used to. People don't even go to work the same way that they used to. And the movie industry adjusted to the lockdown by hyper-focusing on pushing streaming platforms, but they never really adjusted back, and neither did audiences. Filmgoers have become very aware of the fact that they only have to wait a few months after a movie comes out in theaters till they can watch it at home on a movie app that they already pay for. There's no feeling of, oh, I gotta see that while it's still in theaters, because we all know that there will be virtually zero wait time between the movie leaving the theaters and it being available on Hulu or some such shit. Once upon a time, not too long ago, a movie could have a slow opening, build on word of mouth, and make a killing at the box office over time. But now, movies like The Fall Guy are available to stream after just 2 weeks in theaters. Again, these are two parts of the two biggest movies that came out the year prior. These guys both got nominated for Oscars last year, and yet absolutely no one was interested in seeing this movie for some reason. But this isn't the only film that has performed underwhelmingly. Monkey Man was a film that seemed like it was going to be one of those sort of indie darlings that wows everyone during the festival circuits and builds in the box office on word of mouth. I was sure that this movie was going to perform like Get Out or Everything Everywhere All at Once or some such shit, but if you include the cost of marketing and everything, it wasn't a hit per se. And don't get me started on Furiosa. The Rotten Tomatoes score on this is fucking nuts. People actually really like this movie. I mean, sure, it was a sequel to a movie that also didn't make a lot of money, but Fury Road was beloved, and you would think that most of the fans of that last flick would turn up at the box office for this one. And they did not. Fucking Anyone But You made more money than this did. So it's not like people just don't go to the movies anymore. Maybe things like streaming, the pandemic, and ticket prices have all accumulated into one very simple fact. People are just more selective about what they watch.
I did this feature for the Times pre-pandemic about what will the movie business look like in 10 years, because it seemed like a point of uncertainty even then. And I interviewed a whole bunch of people. Truly everything that they feared would happen in 10 years suddenly happened in the blink of an eye because of the pandemic and streaming and all that. But Kumail Nanjiani said something really interesting to me about why he thought a lot of comedies were failing in theaters and getting shuttled to streaming. He says that he thinks the average household will see 4 movies a year. And so those 4 slots really have to be reserved for movies where they're like, I know I need to see this. So some of those might have already been used up. And when they're looking at the summer, are they going to run out to see Furiosa, or are they like, no, I'm holding that slot for Deadpool?
As Occam's razor suggests, sometimes the simplest answer is the correct one. People just don't have all the time or money in the world to go see movies in theaters. Yes, there are savvy moviegoers like myself, also known as big old nerds, that have memberships to their favorite theaters so they can see all the movies they want, but most people don't really give a shit. Most people would rather have a subscription to Netflix because it's more convenient. I mean, you can't smoke weed at the AMC. Be cool if you could, though. AMC, let's talk.
That's magic.
But this isn't really like the fall of the box office. There's still hit movies. Dune 2, Inside Out 2, even movies that aren't sequels like Anyone But You and Civil War did pretty good at the box office. People are still going to the movies, but a combination of all the things I mentioned in this video and probably some other stuff has made it pretty hard to predict what audiences will actually take the time and energy to go see. Like, I don't know what makes people go see Dune 2 instead of The Fall Guy. Because Dune 2, I love that movie, but it's fucking weird. And I don't know what makes people go see Anyone But You instead of Furiosa, even though that movie is kind of cute. Sydney Sweeney is, I don't know how she's so bad in this. She's really bad in this. Glenn Powell is great though. Is he just always good? Do I love all of his movies? Do I want him to be in all the movies? Glenn Powell for Cyclops maybe? Why am I doing this? Why do I want this? TikTok has definitely helped in marketing some of these movies. Apparently Anyone But You and Dune were helped a lot by those TikTok marketing campaigns. But that's clearly not the only answer to what's going on here. I don't know why these films are doing so bad, but I enjoy it when good movies are rewarded by finding its audience. So I hope that people start going back to the movies and taking chances on films like these. Because personally, The Fall Guy came out at the perfect time for me, where I'm really digging what these stunt performers turned directors have been churning out lately. And with it being led by a duo made up of the 2 best dramatic actors in the game, doling out 2 of the best comedic performances of the year, it's hard not to get won over by this incredibly endearing love story enveloped in the most fucked up industry in America, with a story that might be closer to real life than you think. My ranking, I liked it. Well, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I honestly super appreciate it. You don't know how much it means to me. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Drunk Panthers channel and the Nerds at Night channel. My boy Blake has been throwing heaters over there. You really need to check his shit out. And don't forget to tune into the Bantha Bunch every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Pacific time, hosted by your favorite cousin's favorite cousin, Bill. But until next time, stay safe, my little Jason Momoas, and may the Force be with you.